Welcome to Art Talk Tuesday. Please forgive me for missing last week. I was very ill, as many of you may remember. I had a real bad bout with COVID earlier when it first came out. I still have some residual issues that pop in and out as a result of that. And I was in the hospital last week for about 3 days, so wasn't able to do my Art Talk Tuesday. But we're back on track this week, so I'm happy to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Let's jump right in and talk about the piece. So this week we're doing an extension of what I've been doing on the series of yoga. You saw 5 images previously, but were all acrylic, larger format images, acrylics of yoga poses. Now we're jumping into the actual series. Those images that I showed you previously were live painted images that I did in conjunction and studying for the series. The watercolors are the actual series. There are 15 images in the watercolor series. We're going to go through each of those. So all of the series is entitled the Asana series. They're all watercolor on board. So as you can look on the back here, you see that this is a board. And what I've done is taken watercolor paper and I've mounted it on the board once I was finished completing the painting. So watercolor board, the approximate size is 16 inches wide by 20 inches tall. Each of these images in the series is $1,000. I have prints available on my website also, starting at $31 and up, depending on how big you want to get. And you can get a print of this even larger than the original image, much larger. So if you're interested, get on my website. You can shop for originals if you want an original piece for $1,000, or you can look at the prints and you can get one starting at $31 on up to about $400, depending on what you want to spend. So this particular image that we're looking at here features the same artist that was featured the last image you saw. His name is Rondi. He's an African-American yoga instructor, one of my favorites. Very good, very strong guy, very creative. And this particular pose here is called one-legged crow. In the Sanskrit, that is Ekapada Bakasana. And so here Rondi is doing this pose. He actually put an extra flip on this pose to make it even harder. This pose is what we call an inverted pose because you're upside down. And so the body's inverted, and it relies heavily on your arms, shoulders, and core. You have to have a very strong arm, shoulders, and core to keep this pose, particularly to hold it as long as I had him holding it, because I was going around taking different shots of him at different angles in the pose. So he held it for quite a while. And usually when you do this pose, you see here that the figure has the hands on the floor with the the top of the knee resting on the elbow here. So that you the forearms. Usually you have both forearms up. But Rondi made the piece even harder. He made the pose even harder by putting one of his forearms on the ground and leaving the other one up, and then putting the leg straight up. So you've got this long stretch here on this side here, and then you've got the fold here on this. So we're getting that counterclockwise motion on the body, which is really, you have to be really strong to hold this pose, particularly hold as long as you see he's got good extension there. I kind of over exaggerated the length of the leg because I wanted to push that long side here, just that whole idea of the body lengthening and stretching out, pushing out, which is what you would want to do in a pose like this in order to really do it properly. You want to have that strength to elongate the body. Lots of times you see a lot of people when they're inverted poses, their core start to collapse and you see that they start leaning to one way or the other, or their stomach won't be extended, their shoulders will be compressed. You want everything to be straight and tight. And so he was really good about doing that, so I wanted to emphasize that on this side. I also wanted to emphasize his strength here. So you see, I made sure that I did a lot of nice detail around his musculature here, really showing the strength that it takes to hold this pose. Then once again, I did a fade on the background to drop the piece back to give it a sense of space, so you feel like he's actually grounded down into that surface, because a lot of this weight is pressing down, gravity pulling the body down, and yet you're extending the body out at the same time. So really wanted to emphasize that. And so this pushing back here, and then also just I wanted a flat background. You can see some kind of textures in here from the wash, which is something I like to do. As I've said before, you're looking at and acknowledging that this is an actual surface that has its own integrity, its own texture, while at the same time, this is also becoming a window in which you're looking into another reality. So that's what I'm playing with here. So I like to leave the little accidents and little colors. Some places you see are more highly rendered here in the figure that's really tight. And then other ways and just kind of let it flow a little more loosely. Oh well. So that's what's going on here. Here we have another kind of just unilome type symbol, just playing around with this whole idea spirit intermingling in, pushing into the figure here. And so this composition is a little straighter than I normally do, but I thought this was good for the long motion here. So on this side with the unilome, I wanted to have the same kind of long motion, this kind of long meandering, biomorphic kind of figure here, symbolizing the presence of spirit. Window into the sacred is being symbolized by this geometric pattern here, and just kind of playing around with that and this shifting in and out, because you can see in these spots images from the background here. So intermingling that, because spirit is always present, intermingling into our world. So that's kind of what I wanted to illustrate through this particular slide over here. So that's what we got for this pose. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next week. Peace.